2014. Plenty of selfies going on in the crowd as ever, and plenty of cosplay to enjoy down there as well. We're about to get back into the second game of our quarter-final here, the third quarter-final of the day. And it is Fnatic, Fnatic are actually at the desk here right now, getting carried away. Alliance leading by 1-0. That would be amazing if Fnatic will win in this game as well. 2 games in a row. Big Daddy is with us as well. He's going to stay with us for the draft and give us his wisdom as we go through the draft, because these guys know nothing.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, I got lucky a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was too.
Right.
Oh, Big Daddy, big brain.
Yep.
For sure.
Okay. Wow. And you're, just to check with you, I haven't managed to put you off changing your nickname
No.
by showing you that grotesque wrestler.
Not at all. You actually inspired me.
Damn it.
Not sure
It's actually backfired on me completely. If you're wondering what we're talking about, just check the Twitter right now and check his Twitter, and the picture will be on there right now. So we're going to get into draft very shortly. We spoke a little bit about what they're going to do this time round. Seb, how do you feel their composition needs to change?
I think, I really stick to that, but a team should really try to stick to the plan they had coming into the tournament.
A losing strategy.
I mean, it wasn't really, it can't be a losing strategy, right? Every pick can win, but they gave Alliance the Wisp once again, and I really agree with that decision.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, especially before TI, if you're going to change your whole playstyle because of one game, then you're obviously not ready for any tournament that's coming up. So
we've seen this matchup earlier on, and it didn't work out too well, did it?
Yeah, but it was like the overkill. Let's go and try to do everything in the chronosphere as far as possible.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was all 5 actually.
Yeah, everything. There was Rasta Wars, there was Lich Chainfrost, there was a Razor, which didn't work.
Yeah, no, okay.
The Lycan, once again, this hero has
100%.
It's incredible.
Banned
it has been always banned when the team is playing Dire, and always picked.
Why do you think that is?
Well, Roshan right now is such a big thing. Nothing has really changed too much, but people just learn how to use and abuse the fact that you can take Roshan's Dire a lot easier. So the Lycan just makes that 10 times easier, because you don't actually commit any ultimates, anything like that. But
in that same
do you, when you're doing drafting, when you're drafting, do you feel like that's a wasted ban because you're like, oh damn it, we have to get rid of it because we don't want to pick it, but we don't want him to have it. It's kind of annoying ban that you have to give out.
The thing is, right now, what we're having in our team as discussions all the time is that there's so many annoying heroes. We use a different term in our team, but there's so many annoying heroes in Dota right now, and Lycan is one of the most annoying.
I'm glad that you cleaned that up for us. That was good. Marana's on the board as well.
I wanted to ask.
Annoying hero.
We're talking about how Lycan is so crucial because of this Roshan. Another hero that's also traditionally really good, but nowhere near as popular, is Ursa. Do you think teams might be able to pick it up for the same reason, or is it really not worth it?
The thing is, Lycan offers you 2 things, which is really heavy push on top of the Roche factor. I mean, it's kind of connected because it's just pure right-click damage permanently. Whereas Ursa, you can't put the same kind of pressure on lane because wolves are so strong, but neither can you push nearly as strong as a Lycan can. Lycan can push far away as well. Just sending a wolf in the lane can easily force rotations. I just think Lycan in general offers you more than an Ursa. If you have an Ursa, you want to run a different kind of strat.
This draft is not going particularly well, I have to say, for Cloud9 right now, because we mentioned that Nature's Prophet was a real solid pick for Alliance all the way through Dream League. They were fantastic, and they banned it out last game, and it's got through.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I mean, if you look at that, the Cloud9 clearly puts much more priority into the Brewmaster in order to let these 2 things away. So clearly, when you see a team giving away so much to a team that knows that there has to be some plan around it. This is a bait.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that's what you're going to be playing for, isn't it? You're looking at that thinking, yeah, we want them to pick a specific hero.
Yeah,
and we've got a plan for it.
If you remember TA3 finals, Wisp was this hero. Wisp was the Lycan of the day. No one played Wisp at all. And during the finals, Alliance and Navi, they were all like, I'll let you pick the Wisp if you want, and we'll fight around. Unfortunately, it didn't work because whoever picked Wisp won. But I mean, they were going for that. They were going for I'll let you play your best hero and see if we can beat you with that. And Cloud9 is trying that. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Actually, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just mentioning that they letting the Tiny through the pool once again. They really don't mind about that hero.
Yeah, what I think is interesting.
Run it. You go.
Okay. So just a quick thought. What I think is interesting is that. I'm all for adapting during the series, but to me it just looks like Cloud9 are afraid now from this Chaos Knight ban.
Why is that?
They're banning Chaos Knight together with IO because Alliance played it the last game, but their first 2 picks are actually really good at playing against Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight pulls you in, you jump away with Void. You have lead with Mirana. If they unless if they didn't plan on picking any sort of AoE damage to deal with the Phantasm, then I can get it. If that's the game plan now that they want to focus a lot more on single target, then Chaos Knight could be a problem. But it's just really interesting to see because Chaos Knight was like nowhere to be found, and this is like the only game Alliance has played it in a very long time, I think.
They get the
and it becomes
tree
a
as
balance
well.
game. Yeah, now they got the Treant too.
That's
It's
really
like one of
good.
their best heroes.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, I played 14 times in the latest patch, won 10, lost 4, and they rarely lose with him anyway. This is not looking good.
Cloud9 has no answer for the Treant armor so far. I mean, they have only instant damage, which is really not the best against.
You know,
Treant Protector.
something that I really like about Tree. Fiend's Grip is a really powerful spell that allows you to solo kill people, but when you get living armor on a Fiend's Grip target, if it's a solo bait, that Fiend's Grip, that's nothing,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's big ticks of damage. You get minus 80 each time. It just tickles, not ticks.
Exactly. Then it's just a disabling spell.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing more.
One thing to mention though, that I know like what Cloud9 thinks about Alliance, and they are actually like always thinking in a way negative when they go facing them, like we would against certain teams like EG. Because their stat record is so bad, they go into a game with a wrong mentality.
Yeah.
But that happens to any team that struggles against certain teams. So I think in a way they forget what they run, but I'm not sure. Like giving them Wisp Tree is pretty scary because that's their favorite, almost their favorite lineup or combo.
Yeah, they were devastating with some of these at Dream League. We all know what they did against Cloud9 again as well. So
at this point, just give a pack to S4 and whatever, like a PA
That
to
would actually
load
be
them.
really good in this game too.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, they actually don't run the Tiny, Wisp Tiny. So PA would be, I think, their next go-to hero.
Yeah, I really like the PA.
And a really good thing for Alliance about this opener with these 3 heroes is that you can kind of play a lot more carries when you have Treant as one of your supports, because you can get away with those kind of carries that in the early game might be really fragile and could get ganked down a lot.
Yeah.
But if you look at Cloud9's draft, yes, they do have aggressive potential if they want to try to run an aggressive trialing with Bane Mirana, but the way this lane kills is by singling out a target and bringing them down. That's what living armor counters.
Yeah.
So maybe if Alliance wanted to, I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe even going for something like a Spectre in this game, even though it doesn't really work too well with the IO, but I think we've seen them do it like once or twice before. Or we just see an unusual carry like the Phantom Assassin, which it mainly EG play right now as a solo mid carry. It doesn't really get played too much in the safe lane. Ursa is still an option. I just don't think it's really good this game. There's so many evasive
to the
heroes.
Spectre, but there's Gyro and the PA. That
Gyro would probably be a better choice, but so much mobility though for Cloud9.
Yeah,
what,
we have,
what carry should they get against them?
we have Ember Spirit on the board right now as well. Just a stat from that. I know Bruno will like this one. They've played it 4 times, latest patch, only won once.
Yeah.
Cloud9.
Cloud9,
Cloud9, yeah.
That's the thing.
There it is, the
I told you, I told you, if it's a PA, I just leave this panel for today.
Okay.
I don't know if PA is that
My
good
job
here.
is
Would you agree with that? Big Daddy.
I actually think PA is pretty good for chasing. Even with getaways, I don't think you have to rely on a stun. The thing is, the chase down potential is pretty big here. If they manage to ever get the blink on Puck, like a leap or a void walk, whatever the spell is called, it's not going to do much against Fury and TP and PA. Like PA is one of the best heroes for chasing.
Yeah.
But then you got to get like more map, like getting some towers and all that. I'm not sure. They could actually run the Tiny.
I don't really think Cloud9 has the weaker draft right now. Like, their draft is pretty solid, to be honest. Like, maybe the laning phase would be a bit hard versus Treant armor, but still they have
I agree.
they have a ton of damage.
But don't you think if Treant armor prevents that Vayne Mirana combo at the beginning, if they don't get those kills going, that Vayne gets a slower level 6, Mirana isn't doing much.
Level 1, that combo is very scary, and level 1, the armor is not really good.
Yeah.
And usually Alliance can go aggressive with that 3+ Wisp, and then he will go for the lead sheet first. So I'm not sure. I mean, it really depends on how they want. Like, the last pick from Alliance will decide everything. Either they want to go really aggressive on Cloud9 or just stay and farm. They do have the Prophet plus the Puck, so
I'm pretty sure they want to go in the bottom lane though.
you think so, yeah?
To avoid any sleep arrow combinations, because contesting a Wisp Tree is super hard. The lead sheet together with the tether, almost unbeatable.
That's true.
There is one bonus to all of this as well for Alliance, is that they're not revealing anything
Tiny's
at all.
gone.
Tiny's gone.
Tiny's gone.
Tiny's gone. So they're not
Yeah.
revealing anything right now that we don't already know about.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's great for them in a way.
I still think they can contest with anything. Like,
I like
literally
it.
any hero they pick.
Yeah.
I like Enigma. Oh, I was about to say. Yeah.
Wow.
I like
nice
Enigma
call,
a lot.
man.
I think it's a great hero for them to pick, because if Alliance wants to contest the Bane plus bottom lane, it's actually senseless. Like, sure, they will never be able to dive. Then Enigma can rotate to the other lane, and the Prophet Void plus Enigma is just going to destroy that Prophet on the safe lane. They have now a very, very scary team fight, and the Midnight Burst will allow them to destroy them.
We should point out that our friend here, Sam, actually picked Cloud9 to win in the prediction contest, which is why he's kind of saying that the draft looks really good.
Trying to give them some, you know.
He's trying to send some mental positivity down there to the stage.
But this is the kind of game that a team like Navi has also run, like the kind of game where you dodge. You live on your lane and you dodge with a hero like Enigma, because then you slowly get the more GPM. It's a really good call. Like, I think Enigma is also really good because now it puts pressure on Alliance. Contesting is not enough anymore unless they get an objective like a tower. If they don't kill the bottom, they have an Enigma farming on top of a guy leeching XP in the lane.
Yeah.
While it is true that I think Cloud9 has the easier to play lineup if you want to think about it. When you see, I mean, this is like if you were Fnatic. I mean, if you were Fnatic, Mr.
If I were Fnatic, tell me.
And you get your tiny Wisp, and you get the Enigma on fly or the Visage on fly or whatever. Like, you get all the heroes that you want. And even if the draft is a little bit unfavorable, I'm sure that you'll feel you have the upper hand just because you have those heroes that you really like, don't you?
That's how Dota works right now. It's just, for us, like for certain teams, they would not be able to run a Wisp, but for us, we feel comfortable running a Wisp. And that's just how certain teams work. We ban according to teams, not to meta right now.
Right, and Alliance look like they've gone for comfort picks here. They're not any, you know, there's no issues with what they're playing right now.
No. What would you...
Okay.
That's very interesting.
All right, well, all the heroes are on the board. It's time to find out whether Alliance are going through with 2 maps in a row, or whether Cloud9 can pull it back to tie it up at 1-1. Let's go over to the commentators once more.
Thanks again, Paul. We are back with Game 2 of Cloud9 versus Alliance, and that last pick, man, Merlini, we were talking about it back and forth.
I was chanting Riki.
Listing so many heroes, and you were chanting Riki, and I was like, you know what? I would love to see a Riki right now. I would love to see that, but a Wraith King instead. So, like, Sven's, like, less damaging brother, right? Instead of the big damage-dealing ultimate, we're going to have the extra life coming out from the Wraith King. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this. What do you think, Merlini?
I just don't know why they didn't pick any of the other heroes available to them, or Tiny in particular. Or why not? I think that carry Tiny is better than Wraith King in a lot of different ways. He has a ton of AoE, he has better farming abilities, he's more tanky, but we'll see if they can make it work out.
Yeah, Lions certainly, man, how is the lanes also going to go? Like Cloud9, you're looking at this, you've got potentially like 3 different cores, big cores. Bone 7 is going to be playing the Faceless Void. We've got Sing Sing who's going to be playing his Ember Spirit, and that leaves Eternal Envy on the Mirana. Is it possible here that Cloud9 can actually be running an aggressive tri-lane?
Well, don't want to spoil it.
Well, Admiral Bulldog, he's going to get a vision of the Eternal Envy, but this whole entire, like Cloud9 looking at this, the whole entire setup here, they've got a whole bunch of different like big team fight abilities. They've got some pretty good, decent early game with the pickoff potential of just the Bane Mirana combination, the Ember Spirit, his early aggression, Cloud9, they've even got great late game here. Alliance, I feel like they're only opening, like I feel like I've said this before, but is the laning phase. Like Alliance, if they can crush the laning phase nice and early and snowball off of that, they're golden. But Cloud9 otherwise, they just stall this out. They've got so many different good semi-carries and really good mid-game oriented heroes as well. It's not like they're just late game potential. They've got really good mid-game heroes on top of that.
Yeah, I agree. The pressure's on Alliance this game too, in the early game at least, and very similar to last game. But Alliance was able to execute, and they didn't feel like they were under pressure at all, and they just executed flawlessly. C9, they just need to make sure they don't lose too badly in the early game. Wisp and Tree paired with most heroes, I've seen them run with Tusk before, is just a phenomenal threat that they're going to have to deal with. And Aoi.
It's going to be a very scary Train Protector. He's going to find Aoi 2000 right underneath the Tier 2 tower. And Aoi looks like that's going to be your first blood as he is being chased around, juking the tree as much as possible. But Ake will secure that first blood as he snags a very lucky 0-minute rune. Could you ask for a better situation like that? Haste rune.
Alliance is just so good at punishing greed, though. And Cloud9, they love their greed. And also seeing these already out, too, to hinder his farm. So Aoi, I mean, he's probably one of the best junglers that I've seen, just incredibly efficient. And it's just so important that Alliance actually makes him think twice about where he's going in the early game.
Yeah, now he's got a tough decision to make here. Does he continue to try and set up in his own jungle when he knows he's dealing with an aggro Tri who's going to be moving around trying to gank him up as much as possible, as you said, punishing greed? Or does he move elsewhere? Does he move into the enemy jungle and try and stop this? Does he even do what we've seen in the past with some of the Chinese teams, which is denying some of those creeps on the offlane tower and then going and farming up Ancients? It seems like he's got no real good winning scenario here.
Well,
because
especially now that they know they have a Treant protector on him. So great awareness by Admiral Bulldog. And now Aoi, yeah, he is still up.
You know, that's a long duration where Eternal Envy no longer has that escape mechanism and pretty much can't be in lane at that point in time. So this is a tough scenario for Cloud9 to be in so early in the laning phase. Let's take a look at some of the other lanes. We've got SingSing facing up against S4. Looks like the CS is going in the favor of S4 rather heavily right now. Not quite what I expected so early on into this lane.
Well, Ember Spirit didn't actually get pulled that much. Sometimes you'll see an early Stout Shield, early Pro Man Shield, so that he won't struggle, especially for the high base damage range hero. But without that, it's going to be difficult. See a jump on bottom.
Oh, beautiful. They hit a nice first hit bash in the follow-up. Maledict doing a ton of work up against Admiral Bulldog. He does get the living armor, and that will be enough to ensure that Cloud9 cannot continue for this dive. But this off-lane Faceless Void is getting a absolute complete free farm in this bottom lane now that the Enigma is here to be able to provide that extra pressure.
And something on top too, Pilot actually skilled Brain Sap at level 1 and wasn't actually able to help him out that much. And Loda looks like he's trying to pump fake some Wraithfire Blast.
Yeah, maybe force out a Nightmare, an early leap, anything he can do to just get that advantage for the next 10 to 15 seconds. Aoi, well, it's tough at Enigma at this point in time. Like, how do you actually continue to make those kind of rotations? Because they just went on the Furion. He's pretty squishy, but they're having to deal with living armor, and Faceless Void is not known for being this incredible amount of early damage. Unless you get just really amazing procs on your bash, you just do not have that much lane presence. S4, well, he has to do a bit of a dodge here. SingSing not opting for the dive just yet. That small phase shift bought S4 enough time for the living armor as well as a bit of bottle heal to prevent SingSing from going for that dive.
And see someone posted up behind tower, but looks like they will know. The Jig is already up there, and at the same time, Eternal Envy is just not really getting that much in top lane too. He has 6 CS at this point, and this aggro tri lane, I thought they would just completely ditch Eternal Envy too, but Pilot is even hanging around.
Eternal Envy pump faking once again. Loda trying to force it out, but I like this. They're not being too aggressive. They're not diving the tower for too long. They spent good 5-8 seconds diving that tier 1 tower and then backed themselves up, going, you know what, it's not worth it. What if we have some heroes rotating in, maybe early teleports? It's not really what you expect at this point in time, as neither one of these solos wants to be moving out of their lane. Both of them need level 6 pretty badly before they can even think about moving out of lane.
At the same time, they do have a Nature's Prophet on their team, so they do want to play super aggressively and play up in that tree area up top. They could easily make it a 4-on-2 situation, so C9 probably have to carry early TPs, and Bone 7 already hitting level 6, so now Alliance has another threat they need to consider.
Eidolon's able to show off. SingSing is going to be hit by the coil here, and S4 is going in a little deep here. Throws out the coil, and he's going to be able to get himself away with the orb. Follow-up, Alliance. Well, they dive in deep. Bone 7's going to be able to land a beautiful Chronosphere, but where's the follow-up damage? It's just off these bashes. Admiral Bulldog, he's being healed up, living armor. He's barely going to escape there. It's Cloud9. Couldn't quite seal the deal. Now they're going to turn up against Ake, who gets chained up. SingSing, making sure he doesn't dive in too deep. Ake, he may fall here as he's big old tankiness is opted by the fact that he also has that heal coming in from the leech seed. So he does survive another clash that results in a kill for neither side.
The power of the Wisp tree. And Faceless Void, had he positioned that Chronosphere a little bit more to the down and to the right, Bane might have been able to right-click a little bit, but just that tiny bit of positioning cost him a kill.
Did what burst damage they can, but again, Admiral Bulldog, Living Armor, man, is playing a huge part in this game. It's something that it feels like we haven't actually talked more about the leech seed and how a Treant Protector can just dive so aggressively, but we cannot forget about that Living Armor and just how much power it gives you. That global block. Bone 7, again, continuing the free farm in the bottom lane. He also even goes for an Orb of Venom just to be able to ensure that he provides a little bit more aggression towards that Furion when he jumps on him, slows him down with that Time Walk, and then also gets the Orb of Venom hits. That's a lot of slow to be applying to Nature's Prophet, who can't even rely on his teleport necessarily if a good RNG bash comes at the right time.
I've also note Loda went 2 points in the Vampiric Aura as he's trying to bust down Eternal Envy, but I mean, they're going like full defensive mode. They just want to survive and do as much damage as possible, live through the burst, potentially Nightmare Arrows, burst coming out from Ember Spirit, Faceless Void jumping in too, and they just want to survive, sustain, and go and outlast C9 in this team fights rather than burst them down.
EGM and Alliance, the rest of Alliance have already been seen here as Admiral Bulldog was showing off himself with some of the creep wave that was coming in. I don't think they really expected that stun to land on Eternal Envy, or else they could have dove a little bit more aggressively and found that kill. But now they're going to opt to try and take this Tier 1 tower, take away the map control from Cloud9 as soon as possible, with Admiral Bulldog dragging away the creep wave with the single Treant. So already one tower goes down. The other solos, though, I've got to be worried about them. If I'm in Alliance's shoes, I know how much an Ember Spirit can do in the mid game, and they're leaving him to completely free farm middle. Now, he was shut down by S4 pretty well in the laning phase, but still, every moment that an Ember Spirit has, and from here on out, he's going to be tough to kill. Until S4 has that Blink Dagger, they don't really have a good ranged AoE disable to be able to stop him before he just jumps to his Remnant.
Yeah, at the same time, though, they can just let him do his thing, put some pressure on towers. They have Treant Armor to heal it back up, so as long as they don't give him too much space or lose a tower, well, let's see Loda slept out on top.
Arrow will be able to land on him. He does have Reincarnation, so even at the best, Cloud9 can just force that ultimate, and they don't even commit for that much. They back themselves away, trying to play passive. They know just even one kill can give a huge advantage for Alliance and allow them to just push in and take more and more map control. You can see Cloud9, they do have an experience advantage right now, but Alliance still holding the gold lead off of that tower kill. Now, what do you think? Do you think they should continue to try and maybe group up, take down the rest of these Tier 1 towers and continue to build on that gold lead? Or do they try and shut down the Faceless Void as well as the Ember Spirit as soon as this puck has blinked? It feels like that's the only way to do it.
I don't think that they should be grouping up and trying to push. Their lineup is all about mobility. They have the Wisp, they have the EO, eventually they'll have the Blink on the puck, and they can't just brute force it 5-on-5 on towers. That's not the strength of their lineup, and C9, that is their strength. If they catch them in a Chrono, followed by a Black Hole, or just simply Ember Spirit or Burst, Alliance is going to lose a fight and lose big, and they can't afford to take that game ball and lose that momentum. So Alliance, just play it slow and steady, look for opportune ganks, get level 6 on the Wisp, and play it from there. And Faceless Void is getting decent amounts of farm. He is #1 on last hits right now at 60, but at this point he's still pretty weak, and they still have a pretty big window that they can take advantage of.
Now, it looks like he's going to be going for the Hand of Midas. I personally love the item on that hero just because obviously you benefit from the attack speed, but most importantly, I feel that getting to level 16 as soon as possible, especially on this utility Void, where you're being run as the offlaner. Eventually, Faceless Void will be taking over that one role, but for now, he had to deal with, kind of being the offlaner, maybe not getting as much farm as a traditional defensive one position would.
I don't actually think he needs Midas this game. They have Morana, and they have Ember Spirit, and they have Faceless Void. So if he just goes Maelstrom and they weather the storm in the mid game, they can easily take it late. They just have to survive the mid game, and Midas does not help you in that aspect.
Maelstrom certainly is a really good farming item for the Faceless Void as well, still giving you that power to push in lanes rapidly, while also giving you a decent amount of damage. Again, all about those RNG procs though.
So Loda actually opting for the Midas in this game yet again. And, this is where a team like Alliance differs from, like, let's say, Mouse. They have, like, a small early game lead, and they choose to play it a lot more passively and look for really good opportunities and have some sort of insurance for late game. And this is where you'll see just Loda pick up Midas very, very often.
Sing, he's already got the ingredients here to build into his early set of drums. He's sitting at level 8, and so he's not quite that full like mid-game force. You kind of want to be level 11, level 12, so you have some of the maxed out abilities, such as the extra second on Searing Chains, and of course that low cooldown on Sleight of Fist. So they're still trying to farm him up as much as possible and really opt for the mid-game. Of course, they're getting a big advantage off of this Enigma. But as we see, Bulldog's going to be caught out in the bottom lane as he is revealed from the smoke. As Sing well, he grabs that first bit of chains and they easily have enough burst damage to take him down. And Cloud9 get their first kill for the game, but then at the same time, Loda's coming in and will straight go for Pile Die. Sing stunned up, and the counter ward will reveal his Moonlight Shadow, but the stun, Sing, he gets hit by that one to take damage, and a hit. That's all it takes. Alliance. 2-for-1 exchange there. Sure, Admiral Bulldog was picked off, but the smoke ink not worth it for Cloud9.
He also had a really good Treant Micro too and forced Ember Spirit to take maybe just one more second to retreat back to safety, but that's all the time that Alliance needed to turn that 1-for-0 into a 1-for-2.
And we now have that relocate online for EGM. So they can just move around the map with a Furion. They've got that double global teleportation. At any point in time, 3 heroes can appear. So even when Cloud9, they find somebody with like the Bane Mirana combination, you go, oh, quick, easy kill. There's no one in sight. You never know if Alliance are actually going to be teleporting all their heroes straight on top of you. So Cloud9 can't even feel safe if they find a pickoff. So instead, play passive. Play for the late game and keep on farming.
S4 does have his Blink Dagger, and a lot of items coming out right now, and yeah, right now is really where things are going to be trying for C9. Can they actually get a couple of Chronospheres? Can they dodge the relocate ganks? Can they get the farm up on their 3 late game farmers?
Alliance have been sitting back for the last minute or so. I mean, you've got the, well, Admiral Bulldog. He's actually going to be going for a bit more of a farming item with the Maelstrom. Gives you that early damage. We've seen that Admiral Bulldog talks about the Furion and his new like Maelstrom Blink Dagger build that he's sort of been innovating. And I have to say, I love it, especially up against this lineup. It's going to be kind of essential because when he goes for that split push, he does not want to be caught by the Faceless Void jumping in and getting that Chronosphere. With a Blink Dagger, that instant escape, he has a chance to get himself out.
Yep, still has to be pretty darn wary, especially when they have tools like Moonlight Shadow available to them.
That's true. Cloud9, well, they're setting up for this gank on Admiral Bulldog. Instant Chronosphere, and with all the nuke damage that they have, should be able to ensure this kill. I love the synergy between the Ember Spirit and this Faceless Void. Set in the Chronosphere, and you can still hit him outside with that Sleight of Fist.
Yeah, and Living Armor already used on the tower, so almost no chance of saving Admiral Bulldog there. But he did just buy his item, so not too much of a loss for him there.
At the same time, we still have yet to see that relocate. I was expecting Alliance to maybe throw some teleports in, and as well as that relocate to try and get a counter gank, but not feeling confident. I suppose the Chronosphere ensured a quick, easy kill, as you said, with the Living Armor down. It's unlikely they can stop that. Oh man, that Sleight of Fist was beautiful, and that means the relocate may not work. If they try and go for Sing here, he's take a lot of damage. Sleight of Fist will buy him time, jumps to his Remnant. And Ake, well, he used his ultimate there. It's going to force Aoi back. At the same time, the Bane was able to grab Admiral Bulldog on the ground, where he's going to be able to hold him in place now. Aoi throws out the black hole just to ensure that one kill on the pesky offlaner of Alliance.
Man, what a Sleight of Fist coming out there. Stopped his silence from landing, and that just made the relocate gank fail, so Sing completely set that up for his team. Might have been a little bit of overkill, killing Nature's Prophet yet again with a black hole as well as a Fiend Script, but a kill's a kill.
Under attack.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, it's just going to delay Alliance and their aggression if they can actually if they commit so much for a single kill, even if that delays Alliance a minute from being able to push down towers or go for those smoke ganks or something like that. That's good enough for them, because that's every minute it's working so much into their favor in this game. Of course, they have to be able to protect their towers when they can, but it looks like the tier 1s are not an option for them, as Loda as well as Admiral Bulldog are pushing in this bottom tier 1 tower, but Cloud9 opting probably more for farming at this point in time. I don't think they have the team fight abilities to contest, especially with that black hole being used in the mid lane.
And Loda now has his Blink Dagger too, so it might be an easier way for them to initiate on Ember Spirit. And you can tell that Cloud9's very territorial about this mid T1 tower, and they just have been devoting all their resources to make sure that Sing can actually sit there and farm up his lane. Because Ember Spirit, he needs a lot of items to compete with these heroes, especially when they have these Blink disables that can completely catch him off guard.
Tier 2, Alliance bit by bit. They're letting Loda be on the front. I love this. Loda's way out in the front, and then Admiral Bulldog a little bit farther back. So they like can't really go for Loda because he has that reincarnation at any point in time. At the same time, he's in a great position to be able to make a jump. So if a single support or even just 1 or 2 heroes try and defend that tower, Loda can jump them at any point in time. At the same time, if they try and bring too many heroes and get caught into some sort of team fight, again, Alliance, they can easily just relocate the Wraith King out or bring some other heroes in. You never know when the Wisp is off map.
Yeah, they don't need to save Wraith King, though. He still doesn't even do that much damage to be a big threat. Going for the 4-4-1 build. Base damage 92 right now. A little bit of attack speed from Treads and Hand of Midas, but still, mostly you can just kite him. They have Bane for that.
Bone 7 jumps in, grabs 2 with the Chronosphere and Sing Sing. Well, he tried to come in, but immediately stopped by the silence. Now the tower's gonna fall, denied by the Enigma, but Bone 7 trying to fight up against these heroes, but he leapt in. He has no escape out of this. There goes Loda. He dies with the reincarnation, but that's perfect for him. Look how many heroes he slowed up. Bean's Grip on the side, Pylite dying, stopped by S4. Beautiful silence on 3 as Cloud9 now on the retreat, trying to get away from those Wisp balls, but doing a ton of damage. Pylite die turns, brain saps. He knows he's probably dead here, but Roshan will be able to snag that kill. And S4 also finds Eternal Envy inside of the jungle. So 2 heroes go down. One of them was denied by Roshan, of course, but Alliance, at least they still made the 1-for-1 trade there. And there was a big ultimate. Bone 7 and his Chronosphere was used in order to initiate that fight.
Yeah, and Admiral Bulldog has just been the scapegoat for Alliance. They just kind of bait him out in front, and it's not that his positioning is that bad. It's just C9 always choosing to focus him down because he's the easiest hero to kill that also does the most stuff. Like, the Treant Protector is always going to be sitting back waiting for Living Armor. S4 is going to be waiting to blink in most of the time. Sing Sing playing super aggressively.
Yeah, but he gets that Sleight of Fist off, and I think he's going to back off from here as Alliance. Well, they certainly have enough sustain between the Living Armor plus the Wisp heal and, hell, even some Urn charges on top of that. There's just no way. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, that is one downside, right, to this whole entire little bit more aggressive build from Admiral Bulldog, where he goes to Maelstrom, he goes into that Blink Dagger. Before you have the Blink Dagger, you're a very high priority target. Every single member of Cloud9 is looking to pick you off because your right clicks do a lot of damage, or a decent amount for so early on into the game, and you're also exceptionally squishy with no quick way to get away from people. I mean, you try and maybe do a teleport, but you've got so many different smaller stuns on Cloud9, they can easily stop that before you get away.
Yeah, at the same time, they can easily disable his Blink, though, with something as simple as Sleight of Fist. So even if he gets his Blink Dagger, he's still not going to be that safe. And without the Hand of Midas, he is losing gold every time he dies, a significant amount. And not having that bank of reliable gold from Hand of Midas will slow down his item progression a lot, especially come 25, 35 minutes into the game.
Sing Sing's going to find himself a Haste Rune in the bottom lane, while we also have Eternal Envy pushing in this bottom lane. But again, like, they can't go for this small split push because they always have to deal with the Living Armor. It's always going to keep the tower up. So when Eternal Envy is poking at the tower here, he's doing damage that is going to be repaired eventually. So if they want to hope of being able to grab towers, they have to fully commit. But of course, Cloud9 don't necessarily want to do that. They don't want to be fighting Alliance every step of the way. Now Bone 7's going to jump into the mid lane, find 2 here, and Loda, they know. Reincarnation on cooldown, so they finish him off first. Beautiful save, though, from our Wisp, who gets the Treant Protector out in time, saving his fellow support. Alliance immediately start going for the split push. Admiral Bulldog teleports bottom, and, well, the rest of Cloud9, they're waiting for EGM. They do get the kill on him, no tether available, and they might just find another one as S4 gets hit by the arrow. Cloud9, well, I think they just found the commitment they needed, Merlini. They're going to be able to push in the middle tier 1.
That's exactly the opportunity they needed. They were just being patient. They know that Alliance has a fair amount of gold lead, but only because they have 4 towers up. As soon as they break the first T1, they'll get a little bit more gold, and Treant becomes less and less relevant as soon as your towers fall. So they really needed to prevent that brief engagement, and playing at that aggressively past river with Reincar on cooldown, Alliance gave them a freebie.
Admiral Bulldog pushing out the bottom lane as much as he can, and, well, he's immediately going to go to the top lane as well. Just keeping out the split push, man, whatever you can to rat your way in. But, of course, Alliance, this isn't a true rat. Like, you have to actually be the aggressors here, and that's exactly why we see these items, the double Blink Daggers, S4 and Loda, sharing the initiation. And, well, just looking for either pickoffs. I have to say, S4 is playing fantastic, though. He always gets the counter initiation every single time. And Alliance possibly surprised by that Roshan that Cloud9 was able to sneak in.
And the gold lead significantly dwindled after the last minute and a half even. And Sing Sing, he can just pretty much do whatever he wants at this point. He has Aegis, he has drums, he's very, very good about using his Fire Remnant so that he can escape at any time. And at the same time, C9 has been putting enough pressure around the map that they always have to live in fear of what C9 is going to do next.
So Bone7 did opt himself for a later Midas here. He went for the Midas as well as the Maelstrom, so he's going to get that extra bit of farm off of that, as long as he stays alive and doesn't pay for his little bit of greedier farming build.
And all it takes is C9 to get like a 2-man chrono, even doesn't have to be like 2 important heroes, just any 2 heroes, and they have plenty of follow-up after that. You can sleep one, you can grab another, that's 4 heroes already controlled. You have Black Hole, potentially with a BKB coming out fairly soon. So, I mean, what is Alliance's game plan for winning these team fights? It was initially to out-sustain and just outlive C9, but as we see, they were getting bursted down, and Wisp doesn't even have a chance to relocate it out before the fight is already lost.
S4 is going to run into Bone7 as well. Sing Sing in some trouble, jumps away just in time, but Sing Sing is on the hunt. At the same time, EGM is Loda. They've come in trying to get Bone7. He makes the leap away. Now the Black Hole on 3. EGM, he's being Fiend's grip up, and he's going to go down as well. 2 heroes fall. S4 comes back in. Beautiful silence though. And Cloud9, they made him just jumped into a trap. Black Hole went out, but now they're actually being countered as Alliance come in. The Aegis is going to expire there, and Sing Sing comes back into play. Loda caught by the arrow, and he's going to fall a second time. No reincarnation this time around. Meanwhile, Bone7, he's got S4 in a trap, and the Chronosphere will be able to ensure another. Cloud9 went from a jump with the Black Hole, holding in so many heroes, and I thought, awesome. And then the counter initiation from Alliance with S4 hitting that beautiful silence was just golden there, but Cloud9 still triumphed in the end.
Wow, that sleep by Pyliditis saved Bone7.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful indeed. It would have been like a 3 for 2, which is not so bad, but instead it's a 1 for 3, and I don't like Alliance's chances at all going past this point in the game. Gold grab gonna slip into C9's favor pretty soon, and they're just losing control of everything. Wraith King had a lot of farm, he had an early Midas, and he just can't do any damage. Just gets kited constantly, just gets Fiend's Grip, gets chronoed, and just can't move around. Mobility shouldn't be a problem with a Blink Dagger, but they just don't have any really big threats. Puck, once he does his burst, you don't worry about him. Tree and a Wisp, you just kind of ignore it because they just heal people up. Nature's Prophet has died 4 times already, so he's pretty much a non-factor too. So all they had to do is control Loda.
Now, what about upcoming items here, Merlini? We got Bone7, who obviously got a lot of gold off of that team fight. A lot of Cloud9 members did. Obviously, Sing Sing's probably opting himself for a Battle Fury. Not a big surprise whatsoever. But what about this Faceless Void? Is this an Aghanim's game for you?
I don't think he needs it. Alliance is pretty much just going to fight around Reincarn cooldowns if possible, and yeah, he could get more picks with it if he needs to, but I don't even think his item build is important as long as he just accrues any item. If he went like AC, Mjolnir, Butterfly, Yasha, it wouldn't really matter as long as he just keeps using his Midas, and Cloud9 just keeps picking smart fights, and they can just wait for Black Hole. Once Enigma gets Black Hole with BKB, they only have one way to stop it, and that's Treant Protector with his ultimate. And without a Blink Dagger, coming out anytime soon, Alliance probably come 35 minutes, they're gonna be scrambling to get kills in team fights.
Yeah, either Arcade's gonna be so close that he gets caught out by that Black Hole, or his movement into the range of Overgrowth to be able to stop that Black Hole is going to be so late that, you know, it might as well done its full amount of duration. So I think you're right. This is looking pretty grim for Alliance, but of course they are building in some items of their own. You can see them on the screen as each, well, I think really the biggest one is going to be Admiral Bulldog and his progression. Like, obviously, he's been shut down.
He can't
quite
do
a
any
bit.
damage, though.
Top lane. Well, Eternal Envy's still going to be hit by that stun. He goes down. EGM, though, he can't afford to lose this. Fiend's Grip goes out, and they're going to be able to secure that kill before they actually, the relocate goes out. Now, S4 continues to jump farther away. Gonna jump to his orb, though. He doesn't. In fact, he's Sing Sing duped around by that one. No, the Chronosphere misses! Bone7 half a second away from being able to ensure that kill onto S4. And the teleport just in time for Alliance.
Nice play from S4 there. Sing Sing expected that jump and almost cornered him at that point. still, the items are still coming in for C9. If they kill Eternal Envy, they still have Sing Sing and Bone 7 to worry about. So it's going to take a couple of phenomenal team fights from Alliance or Roshan control. I think that C9 getting Roshan is really spelling an early doom for Alliance.
Bone 7 continues to farm up. He's actually going to be grabbing an ultimate orb now. So interesting pickup here for Bone 7. Really not what I expected. Like, I was thinking about the potential Mjolnir, just because Static Charge is so amazing, even if you don't have an obvious target here, or the Aghanims. But instead, Sing Sing, well, it's going to be silenced up in the mid lane. They get the stun, the follow-up silence from S4 as well. And that Orchid does pay off for the first time for Admiral Bulldog.
Oh yeah, Orchid's a fantastic choice in this game. They aren't going for any BKBs, and eventually they're going to be forced to. Well, Enigma was going to get one anyways. And this makes Ember Spirit very, very vulnerable.
Yeah, and I mean, how can you stop this? An Ember Spirit is not a hero who wants to grab a Linken's or a BKB. He wants to continue to try and build his damage, so every single sleight of fist he gets off in a team fight makes a big splash. But if you do that, if you go purely offensive build, you're left so susceptible to those disables like that.
So what is Bone 7 going with his Ultimate? Actually, we see it in his stash right now, so not a mystery any longer. I was thinking that they might go Mass Linken's to try and deal with Wraithfire Blast as well as the Orchid, but looks like it's not necessary. If they really were scared about those two, they can just go BKBs.
Yeah, 100%. I would think a BKB, that was the other option for me, was Faceless Void. If he didn't want to deal with that, pop it during Overgrowth, deal with the Wraithfire Blast, so many options for him, but they don't go for that route.
It's already dealing with three things, though, with the Manta style. Deal with Overgrowth, it'll deal with the Puck Silence, as well as the Orchid from Nature's Prophet, and potentially Wraithfire Blast for Wraith.
Admiral Bulldog blinks in, silences up Eternal Envy, and oh, that Blink Dagger Orchid combination, so deadly. We saw Eternal Envy playing like really passive and just making leaps away the moment he felt like somebody was coming for him, and that's because at a moment's notice, you're silenced up, and then you have the relocation and everything else coming in, and it's so tough to deal with this kind of constant movement. It's Bone 7 also going to be hit by the coil. Now it's stunned. Do they have enough damage? Backtracks? No, there's not enough backtracks in the world to stop you. Alliance get 2 and now can push in, but what do they take off of this one? I don't think they could do Roshan. The tier 2s are already down, so Alliance, they're not going to gain anything too big out of this. Obviously, they shut down the Faceless Void, but no real big objectives unless they go uphill.
They're pushing C9 back to their own side of the map, and C9, they could have just played it passively. They're like, okay, well, we gave up one death to Orchid. It's going to be a surprise factor, especially with the Blink, but giving up another 2 after that, they can't let that happen. And all they need to do is just bait someone out. Enigma already has his BKB. They can just bait out with Ember Spirit or Mirana and then just jump in with Faceless Void. They have a lot of options open, available to them until they get their defensive items to actually deal with the Orchid without having to rely on their teammates.
So Alliance in a very clutch moment here. If they can continue this aggression and find those pickoffs in order to stop the items like the Manta we were talking about earlier, even some of the damage coming out from Eternal Envy, he's also going to be going for a Manta. Important things, if they can stop those for a couple of minutes and take control of this map, like you said, Roshan is going to be hugely important, and if Alliance can ensure control of that, they'll be extremely happy. We've got Mjolnir being built up by Loda, and as well as the Scythe of Ice, presumably, for S4, as well as Admiral Bulldog. So getting as many disables as possible, those hard disables to be able to deal with, even once they do have Mantas on the side of Cloud9, they'll still be able to stop that.
Yeah, no BKBs to deal with this Blade Mail, though. And Blade Mail is actually really, really scary on Wraith King. You don't want to just let him... Oh,
beautiful. Eternal Envy setting that up with the Moonlight Shadow, hits the arrow, and S4, even with Living Armor, there's no escape. Living Armor just does nowhere near enough. 29 minutes into this game, and they find another pickoff like that. Admiral Bulldog pushing in aggressively in that bottom lane, but it just means Cloud9, they just took out one of the main initiators for Alliance. It seems like they have everything they need to be able to claim another tower, and as you were saying earlier, if they can even out the tower lead even just a little bit, you're going to see a massive drop in gold lead.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Are already coming on that Puck. This could be a potentially bad fight for C9, but without Puck actually there to initiate, if he bought back, they would just immediately retreat, and they don't really have good catch aside from Puck.
Radiant's top tower.
Other items
is
do we
under
have being picked
Radiant's
up so
top
far?
tower
It's
has
just
fallen.
been a little bit of farm fast, fine pickoffs here and there, but no real big clashes in the last couple of minutes as Alliance. Well, I thought they would have had more, I thought there would have been more pressure on them to push in early, like 30 minutes in. You feel like that timer's really ticking, but with some of these items that they're going to be picking up, the Scythe of Ices being the most obvious shutdown to Cloud9, I think they've actually got a much more extended late game than I originally gave them credit for.
Well, pushing prematurely is the easiest way to a quick loss for Alliance. They get one 3 or 4 man chrono, they immediately lose all momentum, and they can't fight for another 3 or 4 minutes, especially right before the Roshan spawn. It's just an unacceptable risk for them to take. So it's very smart for them to just, you know, pick and choose their fights, and having more options is always better in Dota, and you don't want to be pigeonholed in always having a team fight against C9, especially with BKB up on Enigma, which we haven't actually seen in action yet.
S4, well, he grabs a gem that's actually not him, but of course Age, who gave him the gem, and he's now moving around the map trying to kill some vision on the side of Cloud9 and allow Alliance to be able to have those single rotations. That's the wonderful thing about all these teleports. They only have to have one hero in position to get that initial disable, and then the rest can follow that up and just chain that one hero down, or potentially even 2 or 3, depending on what they catch. So Alliance are trying to limit the awareness of Cloud9 as much as possible right now, maybe even take over their jungle and just control the map and make sure that Cloud9, obviously they're going to be sitting here going the farming game, you know, letting this game go late. Controlling the map is your best option here if you're Alliance. I don't think, like you said, a premature push, the fastest way to lose this game. So instead, controlling the map and waiting for those big items until they feel they've hit their peak of their power, then they go in for the GG push.
And Nature's Prophet, his Orchid didn't only just buy them 3 kills, it's just bought them so much momentum. If you look at Cloud9 and their positioning, they're scared. They're very, very wary of being out on their lonesome, even after they picked up their Manta styles. So I think it just bought them so much time, and the story of the gold lead is much more significant than it looks.
Yeah, they're sitting back right now in their laurels, just farming up where they can, while the rest of the team is going to be, well, there it is, reveal on the Roshan. The Orb was able to see that one. Roshan is getting low, but in the meantime, Alliance are actually committing to the tier 3 tower push here with Loda and the others. And of course, they can relocate in at any point in time. Faces Void jumps out and is going to grant a Chronosphere onto 2 here. Owie, not close enough to be able to get any hits, but it doesn't seem to matter. Bone 7 has more than enough damage. They get 2, but tier 3 tower still in trouble. They're going to blink in, grab Sing Sing with the Orchid, and that's going to ensure his death. But can they continue to fight? Cloud9 are coming in force right now. Tier 3 tower getting low. Loda, he wants to be able to commit to this. He still has a reincarnation up. He's going to go for Eternal Envy, pops his Blade Mail, hoping to be able to return whatever damage he can, but it's not enough. He gets picked off. Now Pylodai finds EGM on the side. No relocate this time, my friend. He gets that kill. Pylodai may tick out from the urn, but the tier 3 tower will be ensured safety. So they get the Wraith King. They get all the heroes pushing in that top lane.
And they'll get Roshan too.
And they'll get Roshan off of this.
So yeah, nice play from Sing Sing. He knows that if they go on him, they're going to pay very, very dearly, because they're going to use both their blinks. They can TP in and crush him from behind. Bane has 2 disables to pick off 2 heroes too. So very, very smart play from C9. And now it feels like the beginning of the end for Alliance, I'd say. Wraith King isn't, he's just not stacked enough.
Right.
He doesn't have enough defensive items too. You're kind of looking at him like, oh, he's a big offensive threat, but really right now he's a classic camp. He doesn't really have that much armor. He doesn't have any HP items. He doesn't have any lifesteal aside from his passive, and just no supporting items really either.
And even if he was tanky and actually had a significant amount of damage, he's actually being kited around the fight quite heavily. I mean, you've got even the supports, right? Both the Enigma and the Bane have really obnoxious disables that is going to be tough on any melee carry. But then on top of that, the 3 cores have a lot of mobility to their names, so it's very tough for this Wraith King to actually be able to lock down some of these heroes without the additional help of the Scythe of Ices from S4 as well as Admiral Bulldog.
I think what Alliance's initial idea was with the draft, okay, we have this really stacked Wraith King. If they blow their ultimates, for example, Fiend's Grip or Chronosphere or Black Hole, then I just reincarn and we can take the fight from there. But they actually haven't had to use any ultimates on Loda, which is the scary part.
Bone 7, he's getting big, and he's getting big fast, man. He's got already Maelstrom as well as the Manta style, plus another 3k gold, so he is sitting pretty right now. And I feel like Alliance, they have to go for one last push in the next couple of minutes. If they fail that, Cloud9 take over the map, and then it's an eventual to just control the game, get bigger and bigger until Alliance can do nothing to stop even just one of the cores.
So not only was that 4 heroes and Roshan, they also lost a gem. So Eternal Envy able to deward that ward in middle, and Alliance going to play on a very dark map very, very soon. They still have 4 towers up for Alliance, but that's actually bad for them, I feel like, because C9, they still have all that gold left available to them. And Alliance, they've taken down all the T1s and the T2s, but T3, that's just, you can't even think about that right now when you're Alliance. You have to think about, okay, and secure next Roche, pick off their carries a couple more times, dealing with the BKB Black Hole, and
Eternal Envy, we grab the Haste Rune, gonna run right into Loda as well as EGM, pops Manta, and still gets the kill though. EGM with both the Urn and the right click will get that one. And, well, Alliance actually claimed back that gem. EGM's gonna be able to grab it.
Invulnerable haste syndrome.
Think you are all good until you run that hard stun coming out from Loda, of course. Yeah, I bet he was just so surprised running into that that Wraith King right uphill like that. Of course, he
that
had no
ward
vision.
set that up completely for them. Well, Bone 7 is getting really big, though. Looking at net worth, we see Admiral Bulldog in #1, but he just has to be so darn careful with his positioning. But he does have a Blink Dagger to alleviate that, and actually, Sing and Eternal Envy are much less farmed than I expected them to be.
Yeah, so easily you could see that 20k net worth on Bulldog just do nothing for them in a team fight if he's the first one jumped in. They have so many options of which core is really going to be it. Like, is Sing going to go in and try and hit a Sleight of Fist into a Chains? Is it going to be our Faceless Void jumping in and hitting those Chronospheres, which we've seen have been the primary initiation so far, but as Bone 7 gets bigger and bigger, right, it's maybe less likely that we see Faceless Void be the first jump, just because, you know, what happens if he gets Scythe the Vice before he gets off that Chronosphere and immediately taken down, he may not have enough damage on the side of Cloud9 anymore to be able to take that fight.
Yeah, but with Aegis, they're still safe for quite some time. And he has a lot of gold in the bank.
He does, and both sides right back to farming. 13-16, 37 minutes into this match. We have a 5,000 gold lead for Alliance and about a 5,000 experience lead for the side of Cloud9. We are sitting right now on the precipice, potentially, of Alliance losing this match. Both Merlini and I have said if they just one last team fight, if it goes really poorly for Alliance, then Cloud9 take over the map. And as you said, there's a lot of gold left on the map because there's so many towers. So the fact that we only have that 5,000 gold lead for Alliance, there's a lot left on the map for Cloud9 to be able to grab the rest of the towers and get a huge gold advantage. And once you give up that gold advantage to a late game, a team that has the better late game, you might as well kiss your ears goodbye. So.
And Alliance doesn't have that much more room to grow, too. Admiral Bulldog, I mean, he's been playing phenomenally. His net worth is really, really high, but he can only get one more item, and it's just a Nature's Prophet compared to a Faceless Void, one of the hardest carries in the game. And looking at Wraith King, too, he can eventually sell his Midas, but he's going to be 6-slotted very, very soon. Aki just completely flops.
Yeah, best case scenario, one of the best case scenarios, I think, for Alliance is that anybody gets caught, it's Ake. So he's the one who runs into that smoke gank. He goes down, but at the same time, well, no one else more important went down at the same time. I mean, any of these cores, right? They're really squishy on the side, like the Furion, the Puck. They have some sort of initial lead disable, which every single time we've been talking about the Chronosphere, which is perfect against all of Alliance. Or they take them out.
And looking like they're trying to accomplish other objectives now, but C9's base has been constantly under siege too. The T3 tower, 147 HP, T3 tower on bottom, very, very low too. So if C9 mixes slow, they could potentially lose a Rax, and that opens up things a lot when you have a Nature's Prophet and a Wisp on your team.
Admiral Bulldog pushing in this top lane as fast as humanly possible. He even pops a Mjolnir static charge on himself and runs into the creep wave just to be able to take it down faster. Bone 7 is being seen farming here at the Ancients, but he now has just picked himself up a Satanic. So if he is actually able to live, now do you think BKB is going to be necessary for him? He's dealing with a lot of disables. What if he actually gets disabled and doesn't get a chance to pop that Satanic?
He's not going to die. Effectively, he has like, what, 2,600 HP, 2,700 HP with 20 armor? Who's going to kill him? No one can burst him down.
And all those backtracks as well.
Yeah.
It's so unlikely. They have to find him out alone somehow. It seems like the only way to be able to
With
do
the
it.
Sheep and all 5 heroes focusing him, I don't even think they can kill him. And then after that, he's just going to Manta, he's going to get Chrono, they have defensive sleep, they have
Perfect.
BKB back hole, and here they go.
Oh, maybe not perfect. The arrow's going to come in, but hits the creep wave. EGM has already made his rotation with the relocate, and he will be able to save Admiral Bulldog. That was actually a really good rotation there from Pylai Dai, who was sitting on the side waiting for that Furion to come out with the Moonlight Shadow. They sneak in, get that initial disable, but it may not have been enough to be able to get the kill onto Admiral Bulldog. They still forced out a relocate, and Admiral Bulldog's got to be really scared. About 2 minutes time when those ultimates come up again, he's going to be thinking, oh, I do not want to be in that same position because I just barely got out alive.
Well, it just has expired for Cloud9, so they could be potentially a little bit vulnerable here. No relocate up for another 35 seconds time, but Cloud9 very careful not to overextend here.
Oh, the arrow comes out and gonna miss on that one. S4 stunned up. Bone 7 pushing out aggressively, gets the Chronosphere on S4 and will commit to that kill. Stun comes out, but Loda unable to stop anything as Bone 7 finishes off his ally. And now, well, some teleports coming out. Cloud9 get themselves back. They find the 1 pickoff and go right back to farming, right? Just stop the split push. Make sure they're not exposed to this top lane where that tier 3 tower is down. They don't want to lose a Rax to something silly like just not paying attention to Admiral Bulldog's rotations around the map.
Level 3 Chronosphere is just such ridiculously low cooldown, 80 seconds at this point, 60 seconds with Scepter, and they can just look for solo kills at this point because 40 minutes in, each kill is very, very important, especially when you have a puck this late. And relocate coming up.
Oh no, he actually sidewiped up the creep, and that means Ember Spirit will jump to his remnant just in time before any additional disables come out. Now Cloud9, they see EGM, the relocate's going to go out. They're not going to find a kill there. They move and looking for more, but I don't think they're going to find it, man. The rest of Alliance, they've already backed themselves away. Now, some of the other items, I just keep looking at Alliance and going, where's the game changer? And I see nothing. All I see is Cloud9 getting more and more and more.
And they've been playing very, very well, too. It's usually 1 or 2 man Chronos coming out from Bone 7. Actually, he gets caught out here.
Well, this could be perfect. If they get everybody here in this bottom lane side, the Vice and Bone 7 will fall. Dominating spree for Admiral Bulldog, and you got to feel happy about that one if you're an Alliance fan. They finally find a pickoff that could put themselves again in the driver's seat of this game, but they need just a little bit more, man. This Bone 7, if they can maybe 5-man down bottom and force out at least a buyback, that gives them an option, right? If they find another pickoff like that, they can just push all in into the base. But I have to say, I'm not sure if Alliance are going to be able to take this fight.
Well, looking to bait out a Faceless Void buyback with this push. And yeah, I mean, this is where the T3 being this low already comes in. And
Arrow.
it's so difficult to push into this new Midnight Pulse. It takes up the whole entire ramp and lasts forever.
Well, S4 jumps forward, gets out the coil, but Eternal Envy has already leapt away at the same time. Relocate has gone to the top lane. They're going to try and finish off the range racks real quickly, and the Glyph will delay it, but they still ensure at least the range. Relocate will fade, and they go right back to the bottom lane. So that's perfect. Like Alliance, they use to relocate, but they get a range racks in return. As long as nobody gets picked here, which Admiral Bulldog, it's chained up, turns around side the Vice up, Sing Sing, and Orchid on Pylai. That's perfect! And if he makes this teleport out, absolutely fantastic! And now the middle lane, Arrow lands on Loda, but Eternal Envy, he's alone for himself for now. Owie comes in with the Malphus, extra stuns, and Loda, well, they don't have that relocate anymore to get himself out. Blade Mail's activated, Loda does have that relocate, but EGM is going to be the first target. They finish him off, Pylai Dai gets turned around on now. S4 is going to join Loda in his fight up against Owie, trying to get that one. BKB activated though. He's looking for the black hole. Chronosphere's caught 2. Phase shift for S4 will buy a small amount of time, but he still will go down. Alliance losing 3. They may have claimed that range racks, but Cloud9 still taking the favor here as they go back to defending their bottom lane. Tier 3 tower may have gone down, but they're still in a great position if they continue. It just comes down to one team fight, right? Alliance win it. They have to fight up against buybacks, but maybe they take enough of the Rax advantage where the game is even. Again, I still give an advantage to Cloud9 though.
That was one of the most individually skilled things I've seen in this tournament so far. That play by Admiral Bulldog right there. The Scythe of Vice immediately following the Searing Chains combo and the Orchid. But Loda looks like he's in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, he's trying to get himself away. They know the reincarnation is on cooldown for the time being, and Loda will go down as he went for that melee Rax. Look at Admiral Bulldog, though. He knows what to do. He goes straight for that other range Rax, gets a couple last hits. He's even committing to it. He will get that kill because the Blink Dagger is the mobility he needs to get away from Pylai Dai. And if he gets out, well worth it. Even if he doesn't, though, it's another range tracks down, more mobility. Arrow snags Admiral Bulldog. He was trying to juke his way through the trees, but they still find him. Pylai die with the Fiend's Grip follow-up. Well worth it to deal with that obnoxious split pusher.
Alliance has a buyback at this point. It's been 11 minutes since the last Roshan respawn, and it's definitely up at this point. So both teams have their eye on that, and Admiral Bulldog probably could buy back at any time, and Cloud9 always has to keep that in mind as they go into the pits. So, well, it's still anybody's game at this point, and Admiral Bulldog has just been playing phenomenally. And Cloud9, they do have good tools to deal with split pushers too. Maybe if they had a Blink on Bane, it'd be a little bit easier, but still, they have Ember Spirit and they have Faceless Void.
Alliance pushing in the mid lane. No, they have to continue to, you saw S4 earlier, throw out the orbs, trying to check on Roshan where he can. The relocate's going to come out. They're going to go for Eternal Envy first. Bone7 jumps in, locks in 2 with his Chronosphere. And now here comes Eternal Envy first. The revenge is going to get EGM. How he comes in, hits the black hole. Good face shift, but he grabs 3 in the process. And now S4, wow, the jump in from Loda. He wants to be able to lock down Eternal Envy, but the sleep will be able to stop the damage immediately. Now an arrow comes out, locks down Loda even more. The rest of Cloud9 dancing around these heroes of S4. He's fighting up with Lotus. Second life comes back. Lotus starts focusing on Bone7. They silence him up. S4 gets low, but not enough. And Alliance start moving out. Furion comes back in. They found Aoi. Can they actually get an additional kill? Buybacks, they're going to force back here. Bulldog in some trouble. Bone7 gets the lockdown he needs. Basher, good enough. 18 to 26, 46 minutes in. Alliance now on the retreat.
Wow, I wonder how much different that fight would have been if Loda wasn't stuck in this position.
Yeah, that was such an unfortunate situation for him to be in. Now, he blinked out at the perfect time, right? He was able to get a nice little counter initiation, but that's really not the position a Lyric needs to be in. He needs to be that front liner.
I think he would have been caught in the black hole and Chronosphere anyways had he been in there, but after that, he still had like 5 seconds of downtime simply by being caught in those trees. So Roshan will go down a 3rd time. So Aegis and Cheese now C9's favorite, and I mean their heavy late game and greedy lineup is finally going to pay off, or it seems like it.
Yeah, and Sing Sing, well, he grabbed a BKB in order to deal with all of these disables that have been harassing him constantly. He now has that BKB and can start building into his next damage-dealing item, in which case the Ember Spirit, it just continues the train of how do we actually push up against this guy when he clears gigantic creep waves with 1 jump. Bone7, he waits for a second, Scythe of Ice goes out, S4, oh no, what's he going to do here? He doesn't have anything to be able to stop this. Nothing is going to happen. S4 gets caught by the Chronosphere. Orb was down, Blink Dagger was on cooldown. There was no escape he could possibly have there.
I mean, he was so close to his next item too. Well, Sing Sing double Battle Fury up and a BKB. He almost got bursted down with that Abyssal Blade from Wraith King, and I mean, Wraith King is just having so much trouble sticking on these targets. They drafted a very mobile lineup to deal with the Wisp, and on top of that, it also just kites Wraith King all day long.
Yeah, the Wraith King, he's trying to do what he can with the Abyssal Blade. That's only a single lockdown, and like you said earlier, they're going to go straight for Aoi. They want to be able to stop this black hole. Good Nightmare once again intercepting it, and now with the bash onto Loda. He's held up even longer. Arrow stuns him up even further, and Loda just constantly being kited around. Fortunately, the Mjolnir procs will be able to stop Aoi from being able to get away. Now they come back with Loda's second life as he turns around. Fiend's Grip from the high ground. Pylai die in beautiful position to be able to hold in that carry. Relocate goes up, but it's too late. Heroes dropping like flies on the side of Alliance as Cloud9. True 2 for 2 exchange there, but they still have their big damage dealers up, and they're going to get a 3rd one as EGM comes back from his relocate and will lose his life in the process. Double kill for Sing Sing, and I'm a little bit surprised they're not going for the tier 2s, but Cloud9 know they have this game in the bag as long as they don't do anything too overly aggressive.
That was without Black Hole, that was without the Chronosphere too, and
oh, Bone7, he was farming up the Ancients, and now Admiral Bulldog has found him. Backtracks galore, but it's still Bone7 gonna fall inside that Scythe of Ice.
man, he's just making so many plays. They didn't even have vision up there. He just predicted exactly where Bone7 was going to be, and he bought back that last fight too. So that's 100 seconds without the Faceless Void.
If Alliance managed to win this game, without a doubt, Ember Bulldog is the MVP for them. He is just making so many plays, as you said, good predictions. I mean, like you said earlier, the Scythe of Ice Orchid play on two different heroes to be able to get the getaway with the teleport. Fantastic play.
I mean, I think he's MVP even if they lose this game. He kept them in there for way longer than they should have been.
And now he's going to try and do bits of damage on the melee racks. Of course, he can't commit too heavily. The Chronosphere is down, of course, but Sing Sing is a monster right now with the double Battle Furies plus Crystallis. Get a couple crits in there, nothing they get to relocate to the bottom lane. Those are going to go for the melee racks. Arrow comes out, Loda takes that one straight to the face. Now Eternal Envy will start working on him, but it doesn't matter if they don't get this kill. They stop the racks from going down. EGM, no, he relocated out and didn't bring Loda. The tether broke at the last second. Loda is now trapped here at this bottom lane. He does have a reincarnation. He goes down. And
he does have a blink.
Oh man, he got out just in time, able to get himself with the blink, but still going to be caught by that Fiend's Grip. They may have gotten the melee racks to the top lane in exchange, but Cloud9 get a crucial kill on Alliance, and they need to push out off of this one though. I keep on saying, you know, they keep on like getting the kills they needed while trading some buildings away, but it feels like Cloud9 can never actually hold map control because Admiral Bulldog is just constantly.
They still have Aegis on Sing Sing. They can easily take a team fight, and we still haven't seen like a really, really good Black Hole, mainly because Alliance just, they know exactly what they need to do. Avoid team fights at all costs, especially ones where they can get good initiation and just split them around the map, use relocate, try and just play kind of cute around these racks. And bottom melee racks is at 50% HP, currently, what, 3 racks down, 2 range, and 1 melee. So
oh, Admiral Bulldog, he's going to do it again. He just found Eternal Envy. Orchid goes out and easily wiping him out. Admiral Bulldog with the Sprout, knowing exactly what was going to happen. Able to catch Eternal Envy.
He even went for a very defensive build, too. Tons of stats with Drums of Endurance, Mantis Style, and Eye of Scotty, and he still dies in a Scythe and an Orchid. Admiral Bulldog taking Nature's Prophet to the next level.
How far do you go with this though to shut down Admiral Bulldog? Like, do you go like a Lincoln's on your Mirage at this point just to be able to stop that initial disable? Even at that point, you're still going to be hit by both the Orchid and the Scythe of Ice. How do you actually stop Admiral Bulldog from finding all these pickoffs? Because if you don't spread out, you can't take map control, right?
They can bait out people though. They can also use defensive sleeps. Yeah, Lincoln's would be not a great solution, but it is a minor solution to the problem. But most of the time, I think you can just bait people out and just use Black Hole on Admiral Bulldog. Lives are so important at this point of the game that they can't really bait him out with buybacks.
He gets the silence and is now walking himself away. He gets the blink too. Cloud9. I thought that was an assured kill, but he gets himself away, and Admiral Bulldog immediately trying to take advantage of that. Charge pushing in, but Bone 7 says, "Nuh-uh, buddy, not this time." He's going to be able to catch him out with the Chronosphere and ensure the kill for Cloud9. But Loda, well, he's now fighting up against the rest of Cloud9. S4 tries to counter initiation where he can. Admiral Bulldog will buy back, comes right behind Cloud9, and if they win this fight, they can go straight for the racks here. Loda fighting up against Bone 7. Bone 7 has a time walk, but he's being elevated too long. He goes down. Howie looking for the Black Hole, but is it too late? He gets stopped too. C9, they're losing it. It's fine. Alliance are doing it. They're finally going to be able to take down Cloud9, but the buybacks are coming out. Eternal Envy, he's come back in, and he is a beast right now with that Eye of Scotty. Cloud9 with enough buybacks will stabilize, get a couple of kills. They'll probably get a return kill onto the EGM Wisp as well. EGM makes the jump away, but he's not going to be able to make it out. They have too much mobility to catch him. And finally, he will fall to the Starstorm. So despite the fact I really thought Alliance, with that critical play, they could have been able to push in, but a lot of buybacks were blown on the side of Cloud9.
And Alliance too. So
that's true.
Yeah, how many were actually used? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Whew.
Decent Black Hole by Aoi there. Didn't last that long though. Didn't actually get disabled. He just straight up died from the damage. And let's see, 6 minutes has elapsed since Roshan last died, and both teams really, really need this, especially with so many buybacks on Koda. I think every single time we've actually had like a 2 to 3 minute one. A little bit unfortunate for Alliance, I'd say, in this particular game.
And now it's going to be all about the pickoffs while we wait for Roshan. If a team can find that pickoff, they'll just be able to take control of the map, because if they know the buyback's on cooldown, they're fighting at a 5 versus 4 advantage, and they just spread out, control Roche Pit, grab that Aegis, and they're good to go. But both teams have significant amount of pickoff, and Cloud9, I'm sure they got to be scared about, you know, if they run into Bulldog or someone else. Oh, the double blinks. Cloud9, they try to smoke up and find a couple of heroes on the side of Alliance. Smartest thing they can do at this point.
Great positioning by Alliance though, sitting on the high ground. If they're like on even ground, then they might not be able to react in time. Setting up for next Roche, that's definitely the most important thing that both teams are eyeing, and they don't really want to look for big engagements. Alliance, they just need to do the same thing they've been doing, just try and split C9 up, wait for them to push out, gank with Sheeps, and the C9, they just need to do the same thing they've been doing, which is gank out with Chronosphere, since it's such low cooldown at this point.
This is unbelievable. The fact that I really was looking at this and going Cloud9 past 40 minutes. I felt like they had this game in the bag, but Alliance are doing an exceptional job. One of their signature styles, split pushing, and just finding those pickoffs.
All of Alliance's T2s are still up. 54 minutes in. All of their T2s are still up. It's really absurd. I mean, C9 have just
as well.
They've been taking so many good fights and baited out so many buybacks from Alliance, but they just can't accomplish any objectives aside from Roshan. But even with possession of Aegis and Cheese, they're still under so much pressure that the game is not really dictated by C9.
Now, Merlini, what do you do at this point in time? If you're in the shoes of Cloud9, you've lost a lot of map control because you don't want to push out by yourself and potentially get picked off and lose the game off of that one single hero kill. But at the same time, you know Roshan is going to be coming up.
They have to kill Bulldog.
They have to find Bulldog pickoff.
That's the most important thing. If they can, they seal Roshan and probably seal the game at that point. So if Bulldog dies, Alliance loses. Loda kind of to some extent too, but I think that Alliance without Loda can do more than Alliance without Bulldog, just because Bulldog has a lot more mobility. He can threaten the Raxes, and this is an objective-based game, not all about the kills.
Cloud9, they reveal the Moonlight Shadow that they attempted through the mid lane. First the smoke, now Moonlight Shadow. I feel like they're running low on options. Of course, both teams are doing what they can to constantly keep vision inside of that Roche pit, whether it's just the treants for Alliance or even a couple of arrows here and there from Eternal Envy. Looks like they're going to go for the middle lane where Sing Sing, he's already thrown out the Sleight of Fist, but there's not even a pause there. They could be spamming Side the Vice on where that Remnant was at from Sing Sing, and they still wouldn't have been able to get that disable in time. He immediately jumps to his Remnant.
Narrowly dodges the gank, but Alliance has the right idea. They're threatening top lane and waiting for C9 to potentially try and counter push or just even go for a gank there and look to punish them there. And C9, they have to push out lanes in small packs, and this way Alliance can try and outfarm them, outmaneuver the map, and of course wait for buybacks to come off cooldown.
Are there any significant items that you're saying, Merlini, that are really going to change the pace of this game?
Not for Alliance.
Cloud9.
Oh, for Cloud9. Not really so much. I mean, Ember Spear could always go for a Daedalus or Rapier and just be very, very close to 1 or 2 shotting some of the heroes, especially the weak supports on Alliance. But all in all, not too big of a deal. Faceless Void could go for a Refresher, but him going for a Butterfly or potentially a Halberd will up his survivability a lot. He actually can't really man-fight Skeleton King that well.
Yeah, so we're at quite the stalemate right now. Loda, a while back, man, we were talking about how he wasn't really hitting so hard. He was quite a bit of a glass cannon. But now with 800 damage criticals, that's no longer the case. Bottom lane, S4 has just dodged an arrow. Another Moonlight Shadow attempt from Cloud9, and they won't even know. Oh no, Bone 70 did grab S4 as he jumps in, barely grabs him with the Chronosphere before the orb can come out. S4 will dodge for the time being. He's going to try and make that blink away further down, but Eternal Envy has already set himself up to try and catch him out, but they will be able to get him. A beautiful arrow. S4 finally does go down, but Alliance, they're pushing into the base with the relocate. EGM, he can't go down here. Lotus now stranded. In the meantime, middle lane's being pushed in. Admiral Bulldog is trying to get that tier 3. Lotus trying to drag as much attention from Cloud9 as possible, but he will eventually go down. There's nothing he can do. He's just constantly being kited around in those situations. He just hopes that his allies can take as much building damage as possible in the meantime. So Loda will fall the second time. 2 heroes go down, but Admiral Bulldog certainly put in a scare in Cloud9 with that tier 3 tower getting so low.
Yeah, EO, even with this Ghost Scepter, can't survive the amount of burst coming from C9. It's just difficult to predict when the Sleight of Fist are going to come. And even if you dodge one, the next one's coming in just 6 seconds. So, yeah, I mean, Alliance, they're still doing the right thing, though, which is avoiding fights. And if they lose one big fight, again, they lose Roshan, they lose the game. So they're trying to force C9 to make a bad decision, overcommit to Puck and leave their Raxes vulnerable, or TP back and defend the Rax and let Puck pick them off or cancel TPs with Dream Coils or Scythe of Vice. So Alliance are trying to create opportunities so that they can actually win this game, which they shouldn't have been in 20 minutes ago.
with a buyback, they were able to stop that Roshan attempt from Cloud9. Of course, they were already set up in position with S4 throwing out orbs for vision and everything else. They also had Admiral Bulldog pushing in the top lane, going, if you want to be able to get that Roshan, you're going to have to lose a couple of buildings off of that one. And, of course, Cloud9 immediately backed themselves away. They forced out a buyback. That's the best they can hope for in this sort of situation. Of course, a buyback on a Wraith King, not worth nearly as much as many other heroes.
Yeah, and I think one big thing, too, is that C9 supports are actually getting a lot more. Wisp and Trinium Protector, they have a Ghost Scepter and a mech in between the two of them, whereas Enigma, BKB, Meg, Blink, and progressing towards an even bigger item, too. So, I mean, Enigma with their Enigma and Bane with their anti-BKB disables too is much more potent than Trinium Protector with his.
Yeah, 100%. So far, Alliance has done a fantastic job working around the potential of the black hole. There are very few black holes, and I don't think that's on Aui's fault. There are very few black holes that have truly connected and made a big difference in the team fight. Like last time we saw, Aui had a really good black hole set up, but he immediately dropped it just because the damage was too much and he ended up falling. So it's like he's just not really finding those openings. So even though they do have these incredibly good supports for the late game, Alliance are working their way around it as best they can.
Yeah, their positioning has been really good. No one's been like too close to melee range to Wraith King, and everyone wants to kill Wraith King if you're C9 too. So they have a couple ways to deal with the BKB instant sheeps coming out from Alliance players too. And I think they've been very good about using their Scythe of Vices. They aren't conservative about it at all, and using it when they think it'll yield them even one kill or just prevent a death.
Team's so scared. It's amazing. Once you get into 60 minutes, you can feel the tension of who is really going to be able to find that initial pickoff that leads into a big advantage, and they finally are able to end this once and for all. And right now it's going to be Cloud9. Well, they're pushing out where they can, trying to keep map control. They don't want to let Bulldog just openly run in, but they have to be careful. Bone 7, you can see him hiding out that secret shop.
C9 actually hasn't made too much item progression on Sing Sing too. He had his double Battle Fury and his crystals for quite some time, but always have to live in fear. So that was just a nice Roshan sneak in from Alliance. Scout out from Puck. Notice it was at 60% HP, and just nice sneak in there. Bone 7 attempting to go in with his Manta style illusions and get some more information, but just a little too late for that. That's so important. You can't let Roshan go uncontested 60 minutes into the game, especially when Alliance has 2 buybacks on cooldown. That's a big mistake by C9.
So the Cheese and Aegis will go the way of Alliance, and now I think they're set to go for that death push. But can they really? I think they have to continue this whole split push style, even with the advantage given to you by the Aegis and the Cheese. I still don't think you can straight up man fight Cloud9. In 5v5 engagements, they have such good AoE abilities, whether it's the Black Hole, the Chronosphere, or just plain Sing Sing with all of his AoE damage from Sleight of Fist with the double Battle Furies. You group up at all and you're just going to get creamed by that damage.
Yes, they have to keep approaching, just pick at them here and there, get a couple of chip damage on the tower, and take out a Rax if they're a little bit... they're just waiting for C9 to be careless. Blow an ultimate prematurely, maybe bait it out and blink out in time, wait for Aui to get sheeped potentially, and they kind of need vision too, but they've been playing fantastically without having eyes in C9 space though. You must commend them for that. And I mean, Admiral Bulldog not dying this much, especially considering C9's lineup, is phenomenal.
See the Necro Books shown off, the middle lane push. Bulldog did grab himself a 7th item, and that is going to be that Necro Book 3, which he just popped to push in that middle lane. Cloud9 know of that existence. Just slowly but surely losing this war of attrition bit by bit, and they're going to have to find something here. Eternal Envy jumps out, throws out an arrow, but is not going to find anything to connect. And Admiral Bulldog, well, he immediately goes for the bush in the bottom lane. And Loda with the double damage, well, that's going to be a melee Rax. They can completely commit to this one. Loda doesn't care, relocate away. He actually jumps out.
Wow,
I thought they were going to commit to that.
That was right before the glyph too. And
great timing.
Oof. Well, Loda lives to fight another day. It's much more important that he stays alive too, and looks like EGM might be throwing his life away, but that's okay. They still got a glyph out, they save Loda's life, they don't use any buybacks, so still really good positioning.
In Cloud9, you can have all the team fight, you can have all the late game in the world, but if you can never actually take the full 5 versus 5 engagement, if you can't find that opening, Alliance, doesn't matter how long this is going to take, they will whittle down that range racks, and then all they're left is committing to the melee racks. Of course, they're going to be regenning up, but if they can just find that opening, especially with the Wraith King, a great hero to be able to commit to that sort of thing, because you can go down the one time and maybe the second life, you still get in a couple of hits before the relocate takes you away, and you're not forced into an awkward situation where you blow a buyback just for a little bit of building damage. We're going to say the AC soon finished up by the Wraith King, and that just means those Raxes are going to fall even faster than they already were.
Oh, he got an MKB on the Mirana, maybe to stop the TP from Nature's Prophet, but I think they have exactly 0 sources of evasion on the side of Alliance right now. But anyways, discarding that point, C9, they have to use Manta Illusions to push out the lanes. We see 2 Mirana Illusions pushing on bottom, we saw Faceless Void going on top, and they can't really leave this area just because of the threat of the Blink Sheep from 2 of Alliance's heroes, followed that with a relocate into an Abyssal Blade. So we're talking about 5 seconds of hard disable that you can't see coming at any time, and C9 has to take that into account, and especially with Alliance having the Aegis and the Cheese, they can threaten and poke and prod a lot more than they would normally be able to.
I love this. Admiral Bulldog really using this courier to the max, just trying to get out those Necrobook 3 minions where he can. They don't really care about feeding away that gold, I suppose, to Cloud9, even if it just means just 10, 20, 30 damage on that Rax. And of course, Cloud9, they're trying to defend where they can, but they have to stick so close to the base, such close proximity to each other, because if somebody is initiated on, even if that hero goes down, Cloud9 want to be in a position to be able to punish Alliance and their overextension.
I think that C9 should really consider building Refresher Orbs at this point. 1 for Enigma, 1 for Faceless Void, because they just need the hard lockdown. A simple Talisman of Evasion, or even Butterfly, is not going to do that much for Bone 7, and they just need the hard disables and purely avoid all the damage and just lock hard heroes like Wraith King and the Nature's Prophet and the Puck in place.
Yeah, if it comes down to it, Alliance go for like some sort of 4-man engagement in the top lane. You need to be able to have just the Enigma by himself or one of these other heroes stop the teleport in from Admiral Bulldog. It's like abandoning every single team fight, man. He just goes straight for the buildings like a true rat, and you can see, well, Bone 7 just got poked a little bit with that Scythe of Vice. He's got to be feeling nervous, like, is he actually going to be initiated on in that? I mean, Bone 7, as tanky as he is, we're still, like, this is a maxed out Furion. He's got a Daedalus, he's got all these damaging items. By himself, he threatens the Faceless Void. You have any other follow-up, whether it's a relocate in or even S4 with the additional disables and right clicks, it's still enough. Now Loda's going to start going uphill, starts stunning up Pylai Die, and goes for some of the right clicks onto the melee racks. He's going to give up his reincarnation soon. At the same time, Ake and the rest of his team were poking in through the middle lane, looking for those openings. Bone 7 will get the kill onto Ake, but the bottom lane, Rax is going to go down soon. Now Pylai Die sleeps one, gets a Fiend's Grip on the other. Beautiful engagement from Pylai Die. They can stop this melee Rax from going down. It's perfect. Now EGM trying to get himself out. He does have a relocate up to be able to save his ally. At the same time, Chronosphere at the top lane. They stop Admiral Bulldog. That's what they needed. Bottom lane, Black Hole goes down, but the relocate was able to save our Wraith King. So at least he gets alive, but the true rat, that Furion, he did go down. 2 minutes. That is an extremely long death timer. EGM going to be hit by the arrow. Goes step to where he can, and a teleport out, but the sleep will put him and stop that teleport away. He's shut down. Cloud9, did they just get the opening to take some map control here? At what point, Cloud9, they're 5-man up. Do they 5-man down through that mid lane? How controlled do they have to be with their push-outs now?
I think they just need TPs on their heroes too. Faceless Void, 6-slotted, no TPs. Enigma has BOTs. Ember Spirit has a Town Portal Scroll. So they, I mean, once they get outside of the base, they have the problem of actually being able to defend. Not only can they not push out lanes, they can't defend and push out lanes at the same time. So Nature's Prophet still down for 70 seconds, but look at his gold right now. And had they gotten that melee Rax, it would have completely been worth it. 3 heroes for a melee Rax. But since they didn't, and they had that small window before Glyph came off cooldown again, I guess you can say it's a slight win for C9, but still, Alliance just always pushing C9 to the limit. Hey, you guys want to come outside your base? We're going to threaten your racks. We're going to threaten Mega Creeps. And C9, they can defend against Mega Creeps for quite some time, but inevitably, if they get mad at creeps, they will lose.
Yeah, it's unlikely Alliance will make any sort of crucial error and lose a team fight when they've got Megas up. They'll just bit by bit take down that throne. Arrow's going to be thrown out by Eternal Envy, hoping that S4 would run into that one where he can sight the Vice on Eternal Envy, but it's almost like S4, he's not going to be able to commit to that one. His Pylai die, counter initiates, and the Fiend's Grip grabs S4. Now they've got the right click damage. They just found another pickoff, and this time Cloud9 are further out in the map. They're taking more and more control. And Alliance, well, now you've got another hero down for a significant chunk of time.
Yeah, and both teams know Roshan, the 8-minute timer is about to come up, so RNG, who is it going to favor? So Nature's Prophet just revived. C9, they're extending outside of their basement again. They always have to keep in check. He could be TPing anywhere at any time.
Looks like Admiral Bulldog is going to be going for additional split push, finishing up that very, very late Manta. Owie, what's he got? Oh, man. He's going to have that big refresher. So.
Could be Lincoln's too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
To prevent the Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Abyssal too during the BKB. So either one would be perfectly okay.
He's just kind of hovering around, making sure that Bone 7 is not going to be picked off. And it looks like they saw Ake there. They do have the vision reveal him. Admiral Bulldog, he wants to be able to save his ally, but he's only going to get caught in the Chronosphere. 2 heroes down. Admiral Bulldog will fall. Now here comes the relocate, but if Loda and EGM don't find something, the quick relocate away. Our Wisp saving Loda once again with the relocate back, but 2 heroes go down on the side of Alliance, and Cloud9 pick off after pick off. They're gaining ground on Alliance, but it can all fade with just one poor team fight.
Yeah, Loda's still keeping his minus 2. Sold his Blade Mail already, replaced it with an AC, and yeah, he's pretty much 6-slotted. Checking out the other few carries in the game. Mirana, Daedalus, Manta, 5 Scotty, and Monkey King Bard. Still one more item to grow, and I guess Sing Sing could probably trade off for some BOTs and go for another crit, Rapier, or something like that too. So C9 still has some time to grow in this 70-minute game, and finally, a T2 tower about to fall.
First one that Cloud9 has taken in quite some time. Any tower, their first tier 2, of course, that they've taken. And now they're actually going to try and push uphill. Now, Alliance, they're not looking for this straight-up team fight. They want to be able to split push where they can, but I don't think Cloud9 are going to give them that opportunity. They're going to keep in middle lane, top lane. They're going to go on Sing Sing, side the Vice, and the Abyssal. They find Sing Sing. They find the defender, but what else can they do? Cloud9 have already backed themselves away from the mid lane. They're going to go straight for that range tracks, and here comes the Black Hole, grabbing 2, but the relocate out. Perfect timing. Admiral Bulldog now going for the melee racks as he leaves his Manta Illusions behind, but won't be able to finish it off as it looks like the Enigma will stop it just in time. Oh man, that melee rag's getting low, but not quite enough. Left with just 80 damage. Cloud9, just when you think they're on the closest to be able to actually be able to win this game and gain themselves some sort of advantage, like taking that mid racks, is where they're most exposed. Whenever they push out against Cloud9, against Alliance, they're left exposed to those relocates and that teleport from Admiral Bulldog.
Alliance has to weigh their options right now. They have a very good window when the Enigma Black Hole is on cooldown and the Glyph is on cooldown too, but they have to weigh that against the 2 of their heroes not having a buyback. Is the risk worth it? Should they accomplish anything else? Should they be more patient and just still waiting for C9 to make a mistake? And we saw, yeah, they had a pretty good opportunity there, and then they just find one pick on Sing Sing and immediately momentum swings back in Alliance favor. So they just keep them pinned up in their base, and Cloud9, if they just get a little bit too far out of their comfort zone, Alliance so quick to punish it. They are so territorial about anything outside of C9's high ground.
And there it is, the Aegis being picked up by S4 this time around, and it looks like the cheese will be given to EGM, and we've got some super late game items being picked up. I mean, first of all, Admiral Bulldog is 8-slotted right now. I mean, that is how farmed this guy is. We see Loda, he actually grabbed a new item himself. He's going to be bringing it to in the courier right now. And S4, I don't know, what do you think about this being Aegis being given to him rather than, I don't know, one of the other heroes on the side of Alliance? Oh, that's true.
He doesn't have buyback, so he needs it.
And he can't give it to Admiral Bulldog because he needs every single item he's got. He's got no open slots, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he just has to play smart. Puck doesn't have the tools available to him like Necrobook or for scouting, Manta Illusions for scouting, and of course Nature's Prophet Treants for scouting too. So Puck in a little bit more of a vulnerable position than Nature's Prophet, even though Nature's Prophet himself is much more valuable as a hero. So C9 still just waiting for Alliance to overextend, waiting for them to get lazy about scouting, waiting for them to just walk into somewhere where they want to be.
Yeah, we've already been watching Bone7 and his rotation through was spotted out earlier. He's going to return back to the base. Eternal Envy, well, he's about to get 6 slotted. It's been a while, but he can actually finish up. Boots of Travel has an empty slot then, and, well, he can build into more damage. At what point do you go Divine Rapiers in this game, Merlini?
I think you can go one if you're Sing Sing. Well, he's actually 6 slotted, so maybe not him. Who else would get one? Faceless Void, also very close to being 6 slotted. Mirana, I guess, could get one, but she's not the best rapier carrier. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't actually think it's going to make that big of a difference if you're a C9 or if you're a Alliance, just because the way the game's been going, if someone gets caught out, they're just dead. Like, who's going to survive Chronosphere at this point? Absolutely nobody. So, the damage output isn't the issue. It's mobility, it's judging your cooldowns, managing buybacks, scouting, using your black holes on non-relocated targets.
Double coil in the bottom lane while Alliance are trying to push through middle.
Well, they got a range Rax,
yes,
so slowly but surely. And then there were 2. 75 minutes in.
The sieging with the Mantas and the Necronomicons, and even just drawing attention away from those creeps as they beat on the buildings. Now they're going to be left with the 2 regens, but this is very slow regen. You always talk about, oh, you want to hit the range racks if you can't fully commit. That way you get that chip damage, but I think chip damage will still work here for Alliance if they just keep up that constant pressure. The regen is nice for the melee racks, but it isn't amazing.
And at this point, we have seen 1 refresher, 1 on the Puck right now. So double Scythe of Ice, double Coil, pretty darn good. Very good late game item, especially in this game. I mean, potentially if Loda gets stacked enough too, he could also go for a refresher, refresh BKB, refresh Reincarn, and
Bone7, I don't think they could go for this. They lead with the Scythe of Ice, but they're not taking that opening. They're afraid of it being a bait. They're afraid of overcommitting themselves on a hero kill rather than going for those buildings. Cloud9. 75.5 minutes in, they are still defending. If you're just now joining us, man, you have missed out on an amazing match. Alliance, they're 1 game up in this best of 3. If they manage to finish off Cloud9 here, they will take out Cloud9 and move on. But if they lose it, they're going to be going to a game 3, and they're going to start jumping in on Bone7. And if they can finish them off, they will be able to. That is the pickoff they needed there. Every single kill counts for so much because the death timers are so long at this point in time.
yeah, and the T4 towers are getting chipped too. The top tower, 1200 out of 1600 HP too. So Alliance, I mean, at this point, they could throne it if C9 gives them the option to, if they're too heavily concentrated on defending their 2 racks. So looks like we're going to see Necrobook summon, and what they really need to do is start taking down the server wars, and this one already scouted out.
Oh, going in deep. They've already finished off. A quick carrot onto EGM will take him out. Loda will fall here. Relocate is coming out. EGM wants to be able to save his ally here as much as possible. Loda, though, is taking the Fiend's grip. S4 tries to intercept where he can. EGM throws out that tether, but he's not going to be able to save him. There goes that black hole. EGM will get out with his relocate as it goes back. Melee racks took a small amount of damage, but the Alliance, unfortunately, these racks are right next to each other. They can't really commit. When the fight is happening in the bottom lane, Furion can't actually go in through the mid lane to commit to that because Cloud9 could very easily jump from the bottom lane over to mid with all the high amount of mobility that they have.
I think it might be time for him to start approaching from this area too, because the reason he was met with such great success in his rat earlier was because top lane is so far away. So I think he might have to just start beating on the T4s because it's a little bit of a safer position, and C9 are going to be looking for him to beat on that mid racks. So all the easy targets are down. The melee racks are really where push comes to shove, and at the same time, C9 didn't even have to use Glyph for that. So that was with the Aegis and the Cheese on the side of Alliance, and unfortunately, C9 will not be able to get a buyback out of the Wave King.
That was another Moonlight Shadow used there from Alliance. I have no idea if they're just paying really good attention to the timings, but they are always backing themselves up at the right times, right about that. Now, we've seen some like premature backups where Moonlight Shadow hasn't actually been used. But for the most part, Alliance are kind of one step ahead of that attempted smoke, Moonlight Shadow, whatever it is from Cloud9 to try and grab that one pickoff that they can start pushing out.
You still have to consider that Bone 7's buyback is on cooldown, and that's still a significant amount of time for Alliance to use that. Without Chronosphere, I think C9 falls pretty easily, especially with the massive amount of sheeps that Alliance has. C9, with their BKBs getting relatively shorter by the minute, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to win a fight. So 6 minutes has elapsed since Roshan last was slain, and I mean, how many ages have we even been through this game?
It's got to be at least 4 or 5 at this point, man. I'm beginning to lose track just because we've seen a couple of cheeses so far. Eternal Envy, they see Admiral Bulldog, but they couldn't get him. Eternal Envy was hoping to get that leap arrow, but Creep Wave intercepts that one. Eternal Envy. But Admiral Bulldog's going to go for the counter kill here. Actually jumps on Eternal Envy with the relocate. They get that one nice and easy. But can they actually force anything out of this? I mean, even if you just want to be able to force out a buyback, can you actually push in and provide enough aggression that Eternal Envy feels like he has to buy back? I'm not sure if they can.
I think so. I think they need every source of damage that they can get. Sing Sing is the one that gets focused the most, especially with the Abyssal Blade. Oh, and bottom lane.
Yeah, the refresher goes off, and S4 looking for the blink away. Beautiful juking if he can keep going. No, the Fiend's Grip will grab him. And now Bone 7 will throw the Chronosphere on top of that one, and S4 will fall here. Already side-to-vice though. Admiral Bulldog, oh, he's locked inside the trees now. They're trying to go for this kill. Loda will commit. The Abyssal Blade already stunning him up. How many bashes can they get? A side-to-vice goes out. S4 comes right back in and secures that kill. Pylon died. This is the last engagement. Eternal Envy's actually secured an arrow onto EGM. They'll finish him off. Now going for Admiral Bulldog as well. Gets a critical. Takes him out. Alliance running away where they can. They're going to be forced to turn it around, but the black hole will hold him in place. Loda will fall. He's got a reincarnation, but if it's only him left, how can he deal with this? S4 sitting on the side, waiting for those opportunities. Out, he's already committed his black hole. If he goes down here, I don't feel it's that big of a loss, but Alliance still old enough to be able to force C9 back once again. Side-to-Vice goes out. Oh, S4, you can't afford to go down here. The last invasion. He dodged it. Can he get away even further? Blink dagger down. No, the red thing will finish him. Sing Sing gets that one. Loda now trapped up. The Eye of Scotty making it a pain for him to move around. And Loda will go down. Ember Spirit at the same time. He gets that double kill. 4 heroes down. The melee Rax has gone down to the middle lane as Admiral Bulldog was able to claim that one, but it's not Mega Creeps. Cloud9, they're
holding
looking
on
for
for
that
dear
last
life.
hit.
Oh my goodness. And how many buybacks were used that? We saw one from Admiral Bulldog, one from Puck, and one from Enigma too. But as you said, Enigma doesn't have Black Hole, not the biggest of deals. And at the end of the day, Alliance, it's one Rax closer to Mega Creeps.
And Cloud9, every single time, man, they win this team fight. I'm like, yes, here it comes. They're going to try and push out. They'll be able to take some control, but it's just the Furion is too much. I mean, at this rate, he can just go teleport it and go straight for that Rax. They constantly have middle or top lane pushing in, and so there's always going to be some creeps that are filtering through into the base, taking away that backdoor regen. And if you spread out and try and stop those lanes, you're just going to get picked off by Admiral Bulldog, who's done this time and time again. And I am in awe of this guy right now. Admiral Bulldog is putting the whole entire team on his back with his movement. Now, Alliance have definitely shown some amazing teamwork, but without Admiral Bulldog, this would not be possible.
And Boat 7 goes in to defend top lane from the sneaky Admiral Bulldog. Rest of the team is in mid, and Bone 7 actually does have BOT, so it could potentially be the last fight of the game right here.
Oh, Cloud9, they're going straight for the tier 4s. They want to try and end this game right here, right now. Bone 7, he's going to even coming in. They're going to go straight for the throne if they can. But will they be forced back? Glyph has already gone down. One tier 4 down. Alliance trying to pose some sort of defense here. Another tier 4 is going to go down. Here comes the defense. Loda jumping in on Eternal Envy. Manta, leap away. Eternal Envy, can he get out of here? He's actually going to be overgrowth though. Right click down. Loda now moves on to another one. Bone 7, he goes down. He gets the Chronosphere on 3. He's going for the throwaway kill. Cloud9 beating on the ranks, but now Bone 7's going to be held in place. S4 stops him with the extra bit of disables. They're still going for it, thrown at half health, but Alliance has just wiped out the rest of Cloud9's resistance, and now it's their turn. They go for the tier 4s. They're going to be relocating in, and I have to say, buyback, Sing Sing, how strong are you? Can you do this? Bioidai, he's holding in EGM, the relocate, it won't come out in time, or will it? A second he gets out. Loda, he's left, Sing goes down. Without that damage, they can't do it. Alliance, they get the big damage dealer on Cloud9, and they do it all the way, 83 minutes in, and they take it in game 2. Unbelievable performance by Alliance. Longest game by far of the night, and the most climactic finish of all.
If anyone questioned whether or not Alliance is back, the answer is they're back.
100%, man, 100%. And guys, unbelievable way to end the night. But first, we have to jump to the analyst desk and get those guys' thoughts.